Welcome to our first interactive lesson. Now we're going to look at product development, and hopefully this is going to build on the work that you've been doing for the last few weeks. And the idea is we build on some of that theory and we actually get you to do some of the creative, fun part of the product development process. So the key objective is that you understand product development, and we want you to understand why businesses need to develop new products, and we want you to be able to examine how businesses can develop new products, and hopefully some of you will start the creative process with regards to a new product and create a mood board. So a little bit of a recap first. Now, a really important concept within this is the marketing mix. And the marketing mix is concerned with four key elements: the product or service that is offered, the price that is charged, the place, the distribution channel where it's sold, where buyers and sellers interact, and the promotion that supports the good or service. And when you are developing a new product, you need to consider all of those elements. So spend some time, have a read at the slide, and move on when you're happy. So some of the work that I asked you to look at was with regards to the product life cycle. Now, hopefully you investigated what the product life cycle is. You investigated why the product life cycle existed. And what you should have found is the product life cycle is a stage that all products go through. So a product, like a person, has a life. And I asked you to do some research and watch a video, which if you need to, you will be able to revisit. Now, the product life cycle is split into 5 stages. So we've got development, introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Pause the PowerPoint, spend some time to think about what is happening in each of these stages. Now, we should at this point realise that as products move through their lifespan, that in the different phases, different amounts of money are coming in and going out of the business. So cash flow is affected. So in the development phase, lots of money will be going out of the business because lots of money will be spent on developing the product, pre-launch marketing to try and create that initial product and then create that initial awareness. In the introduction phase, sales might be low because it's only just starting, it's a new product, it takes time to build up a customer base. You'll be spending lots of money on advertising to promote your product. So the cash flow will probably be negative as more money is going out of the business that is coming in through sales. In the growth phase, sales start to increase and hopefully they're growing at the fastest point. Net cash flow in this phase moves from negative to positive, so you start to get more money coming in as the sales increase faster than your outgoings. In the maturity phase, this is where the product's established, it probably needs the least amount of marketing spend or development spend, and sales should be bringing in money, and this should be generating a positive cash flow. Again, pause the PowerPoint, check that you understand the various phases, and if you need to, you can pause the PowerPoint and go onto the internet and look at what is meant by net cash flow, which is reaffirming some of that earlier learning that we've asked you to do. Now, a business doesn't have to accept that products are or will come to their end or enter the decline phase. They can use what's called extension strategies, and these are about extending the life of a product. So they might do more advertising, they might reduce the price, They could try and add new features, so make the product more valuable to the person. They could try and find new places to sell it, so new markets. They could repackage it or brighten up old packaging. They might be able to find new uses for the product. They might be able to increase the usage by encouraging people to use it on more than one occasion, or they might be able to adapt the product slightly to create a fresh appeal. Spend some time, think about the ways that this can be done, and think about some products that are in your life. Pause the PowerPoint, think about some products, and think about how they might be able to use the various extension strategies. It's now time for you to do some thinking. I don't need you to submit any written work for this, but what I do need you to be able to do is to be able to deal with this type of question. These questions are likely to come up as part of your RO64 exam. You might want to get a brother or sister or a parent or carer to actually test you on these and listen to your answers. So, are you able to identify two possible extension strategies that a chocolate manufacturer might use? Are you able to explain how the strategies that you've identified would work and how they'd extend the life cycle of that chocolate bar? Are you confident identifying all the different phases of the product life cycle? Could you identify the phase of the product life cycle where sales are likely to be rising the most quickly? And then the toughest question, explain one reason why a business might use an extension strategy when it reaches the maturity phase of the product life cycle. Try and think about why they might want to extend the life of a product rather than considering some of the other options, for example, launching a new product. Again, you can pause this PowerPoint to give you time to think about these questions. The next series of lessons, we asked you to investigate product differentiation and what it was. And hopefully you found out that product differentiation is about making your product or service stand out and be different from your rivals. Now, we ask you to investigate USPs, giving your product or service a unique selling point, something that makes it different and stand out. We asked you to investigate branding, the way that giving a product an identity can mean that people choose your product over another. We asked you to investigate pricing. One way of differentiating your product is by supplying it cheaper than rivals. Another way is what's called an improved offering. So making your product or service better than all the others out there so people choose your good or service. When you're developing a new product, you need to be able to consider product differentiation. How are you going to make your product or your service stand out in what is likely to be what's called a crowded market where there is high levels of competition? It might be good at this point to pause the PowerPoint and actually look at what is meant by competition. Hopefully you found out that competition is where other businesses are offering very similar goods or services to the same customers that you are trying to appeal to. Now, one way you can deal with competition is by using the design mix. Now, I've asked you to investigate the design mix, and hopefully you found out that the design mix is made up of three elements: aesthetics, function, and economic manufacture. Aesthetics is how the product looks, function is what the product does, Economic manufacture is how much it costs to supply that product to the customer. So I always use the example of Tesco baked beans, and if you were placing that on the design mix, the main thing about that would be it needs to be manufactured in a low cost way. Economic manufacture is really important because it is sold at such a cheap price. Again, pause the PowerPoint, think about 5 products and think about where they would place on the design mix and what would be the main emphasis for each product. So these are 3 elements that make up the design mix, and when you're doing a creative process, you need to consider how much it's likely to cost you to manufacture the product, what is the functionality, what is it going to do, and aesthetics and how it looks. Now, various products will fall and place more emphasis on different elements. Hopefully, we've now built up some understanding of why we develop new products and how this can be done. To help you with this, I've put together some key definitions. Now, again, you can pause the PowerPoint at this point and you can go through these key terms and ensure that you understand fully what is meant by all of the keywords. So, we've now looked at the theory of why businesses develop new products, because they need to develop new products because products reach the end of their lifespan and people are always looking for new and exciting products. We now need you to think about developing a new product. And I want you now to start the fun process of this, which is developing a new product. And the products we're going to ask you to develop, and you all need to stick to this, is a new hat. So you are going to come up with a design for a new hat. It can be any type of hat. And the first process of this is to create a mood board. And what I want you to do is to be very creative. I want this to be a very enjoyable task that you actually will enjoy completing. So your first task is to investigate what a mood board is and what it should contain. So you can use the internet. This would be a good time to pause the PowerPoint and do some research with regards to what is meant by a mood board. I would suggest spending at least 10 minutes looking at what a mood board is and what it should contain, and then possibly spend another 5 minutes looking at examples of mood board that you can find on the internet. Hopefully you've done that and you've now got an understanding of what a mood board is and what it should contain, and I want you to think about what you want to include in your mood board. Again, I don't need to see this work, but you might want to just get a piece of rough paper, or you might want to just tap it in on your phone and just think about ideas of what you want to include on your mood board and how you want it to look. So again, spend 5-10 minutes actually thinking about and just listing what you want your mood board to look like. Hopefully this research has now given you an understanding that the idea behind a mood board is it is a very visual representation of an idea. In this case, a new hat. You can use images, you can use materials, you can use text, and it is about a general idea with regards to a particular idea or project. I've included some examples of mood boards on this PowerPoint which you can have a look at. So what I want you to do is create a new mood board, and The product is a hat. Now you can do this in various ways. You could create a mood board that looks at lots of different types of hats. You might want to consider different types of hats and do a mood board for each. This is the first stage of the creative process. Now, the type of things you might want to include is pictures of the hat, pictures of materials, celebrities wearing the hat, keywords that you would associate with what you want your product to say or look like. It really is up to you. Now, you can create the mood board however you want. One way, you could create it in Word and you could import lots of text and lots of images and make a collage using Word. And if you do that, you can save that onto Teams for me to have a look at. It might be that you want to be more creative and you want to use paper and you want to cut images out or print things off. It might be you want to use card, you want to include textiles, you want to make it more creative. You might want to make it sort of stand out by gluing things onto it. Again, that's absolutely fine. Now, clearly you wouldn't be able to upload that to Teams, but you could take a picture of it, upload it to Teams and make sure you keep it safe. It really is over to you. It's a chance for you to be creative. It's a chance for you to do something different and hopefully enjoy some time developing a mood board, which is the first start of the creative process and the developing and launching a new product that we've spent the last couple of weeks of in your sort of research tasks, actually investigating about. Hopefully this has helped. This is a creative task. There is no wrong or right. It is about your ideas and trying to come up with this new design. Enjoy the task. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Stay safe and good luck.